Hi guys, and hello from the hilltop. I'm Waxahedgeblue and I want to welcome you to my channel, The Plateau Perfectionist. Today's video is my 2023 plan with me for the month of March and my Archer and Olive 192 GSM dot journal. So I am doing a monochromatic month for the month of March. I'm going to be using this lovely olive green color here from the Zebra Mildliner's neutral pack. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. So the quote for the month is the secret to, it would help if I could remember what it said. The secret to your future is your daily routines. That's what it is. I thought that was a very good little quote. I also kind of, it has to do with growth. And, I wanted to go with green, growth. It all works out there. And then as for the designs, I did just kind of a geometric and plant type theme. One, because I'm using green, and two, I always try to do a very minimalist March. That's just something that I personally enjoy doing, and seeing as how I am doing a very minimalist journal for the entirety of the journal, it all just kind of flows well together. I did include just a small mini calendar here at the bottom of the page, which is just a basic cutout. I just Googled the year 2023 and sized it right, and then I actually stuck it on a sticky note and then stuck the sticky note in there. So yes, it's very simple. I did use one alternative color when it comes to any type of coloring, and that was I used a gray, and that was just for a drop shadow on the 2-page calendar spread on the following page. So I will wholeheartedly admit I messed up on one of these two spots of plants. So fun fact about these particular Zebra Mildliners. Zebra Mildliners layer very nicely. The problem is the more layers that you put on there, the longer it takes for it to dry. So you do, I did do a little bit of, through the power of editing, cut out the parts where I had to kind of stand there, sit there and blow on these markers to get them to dry. And not only that, but the LePen that I was using for the black was not necessarily cooperating in certain respects, especially where the green ink was thicker. It still worked, but I messed up on this particular bit here, so I had to color in the leaves because otherwise it just kind of looked yucky. And so when I did the second part here, I compared the two. I liked the leaves not filled in. So for the rest of the spreads where there are leaves, I did not color them in. This is the only spot where you'll see colored in leaves like that. I do think it makes for a nice contrast, but I really wanted the green to be more of the focus and the leaves just to be a bit of an accent. So for the rest of this, the leaves are just an outline. So here's my 2-page calendar spread for the month. I do have this one little sticker that is part of some month stickers that I purchased many years ago from, I believe, either Joann's or Hobby Lobby in the sticker section, scrapbooking section. And I have never used them per se. I've used them very, very periodically, so I have most of them left, and so they fit perfectly in this little 3-dot allotment that I give for the 2 stripes on either side of the Dutch door. So I'm just going to continue using them and try to keep up the vibe there. As for the 2-page calendar spread, I have discussed this in a previous video, and I believe it was my February video. So I have a general code breakdown of how I keep this 2-page calendar spread in the same spot on the page month to month. It is 4 grids from the top. Then there is a single line that is where the days of the week will go, and then each of the day grid boxes are 6 by 5, 6 tall, 5 wide, because I give an additional line to put the day of the month. This will not fit every single month because there are a couple of months that usually will have 6 technical weeks. They're the kinds of weeks where they have that diagonal and they'll put 2 days in the same box. I hate personally doing that. I'd rather do a horizontal box because the diagonal just cuts this space far too wastefully. So here I am just adding the green, and I actually tried to think ahead this time, and I did leave the extra little blank space where the last 2 days of February are. It always makes the month look a little weird, but it works out in the end. And I did allow just a little bit of overlay in the particular design here at the bottom. Since this particular month does not have the extra space for a note section, I figure if I absolutely need one, I do have that small gap at the top of the month, or I can even write it up at the top. So in order to allot for that, I didn't add any type of washi tape or anything like that. This is purely just marker. As for the design in and of itself, I went to Pinterest and just started looking at some minimalist aesthetics, especially involving plants. I had something very similar saved on one of my Pinterest boards, and so I just kind of started playing around with it, especially using the geometric shapes, hence how this became to be. As for doodling the actual vine, it's pretty much just a string with some branches, and then each of the branches has anywhere between 1 to 3 petals or leaves. If you colored it, you could make them whatever you want, petals or leaves. But since I wanted the geometrics to be the color and the actual vine to just kind of be black and white, I didn't even bother with that. You could technically do it in reverse if you felt inclined, but it's up to you. I also didn't outline the geometrics because I kind of liked them without the outline. I thought that would be too much black breaking up the space. Just keep them as is, and if you want to do an outline, you do you. You see this every month, but this is something that I also do in addition, and this is my one tracker that I really allot for extra space for. This is my budget tracker. For those of you who do not know, I am currently doing a no buy low buy challenge for this particular year. For the first quarter and the third quarter of this year, I will be doing a no buy challenge, which means I'm trying to spend as little money as physically possible in order to help pay off my bills a little faster. I had a surgery last year that kind of ate up some of my budget, and I'm trying to slowly pay that off. And then as for the second and fourth quarter of the year, I am doing a low buy. That way I can at least allot myself some funding to buy Christmas presents during that time of the year, as well as a birthday gift for myself if I decide to go that route. This particular spread I set up the same way every time, just because that is the style that works for me. It's just a rolling total style budget, which includes a spot for date, description of what I purchased, the amount, and then which account the information was pulled out of. I have a couple of credit cards as well as bank, savings, all that other stuff, and so this is just a rolling way for me to keep track of how much I'm spending in each month. On to the weeklies. So when I was designing my weeklies, I did notice, and this just happened to be a happy happenstance here, that for the end of each quarter, I would require an extra page in order to make sure that I had all of the days allotted per each month. Now, obviously here I do my daily, my weekly setup, so I have 7 days on each page, Monday through Sunday. Not all weeks or not all months complete themselves at the end of each week. So for March here, you'll see the last 2 days of February because they fall on a Monday and a Tuesday. However, the last month of March, I needed that third page. So to compensate for the extra space, I included at the very last part, or the very last page of this particular spread design, a quarterly check-in. I wanted to create this to kind of keep track of how I am doing on some of my goals, some of my habits, how my no-buy went for the quarter. That's another big reason why I wanted to do a quarterly check-in. And then I just did my lines here for each of these weeks. I could probably have filled in the tabs as well. I mostly just have the tabs for my finger to catch so I can more easily flip the page. I never can get the tabs to be written right, so I stopped writing on the actual tabs. I did draw the tab on the last page just to kind of give it the visual aesthetic, this because I wanted to. So here is my quarterly check-in. Oh no, I decided to write out my days first. I just really did a very simple write out here. I just did the first letter of each of the weeks, followed by the actual date. Hopefully I didn't get any out of order. I didn't think I got any out of order. As for that top strip at the top of each week, I will be doing just a small doodle to just kind of fill in space, give it a little bit of a pop of color without taking up too much space, because these are not very big wide spaces for me to write things. This is purely for bullets and writing down tasks, because that's primarily what I use my bullet journal for. Here is my quarterly check-in. I tried to be fancy with my script, but it is a bit of a combination of both cursive as well as print, just because Q's in cursive look like number 2s, and I just think it's very silly. So here is my first part, which is victories and successes, and then I have places to work on at the bottom. I'll fill this in as I feel inclined, and it's just a personal thing for me to kind of keep track of how things have progressed over the first quarter of the year, what went really well, what necessarily needs some work, and that's primarily all that's on here. On the far right side of the page, however, is my weight tracker, because that is how I design my weeklies. I have the weeklies as the Dutch doors, and then I have the habit tracker on the left-hand side and the weight tracker on the right-hand side, and so I use these very frequently, and I hate having them on a designated page where I have to constantly flip back and forth, because out of sight, out of mind. So that's why I keep them right here next to the weeklies. So I did include just a little bit of using the green as a highlight, just to kind of mark where weekends are. It's just to help my brain better allocate what day I'm actually on. Just a bunch of lines and dots can kind of get a little lost, at least for my brain. So I always try to highlight the weekends just so I can better designate for spatial reasoning. I did include just a little green line here, and then I'd cut out some of the doodling just because it was very repetitive, but primarily what I did was I just kind of drew some shapes here up at the top. They kind of both fall in and out of the page. And then on top of that, I just took my LePen and I drew some additional green vines with leaves, and that's it. That I changed it up on every single week, so none of them are exactly the same, but it's the same concept throughout all of the weeks. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and stop talking, and so you can finish watching and enjoy the flip through. I appreciate that you took the time to come and watch my video. Thank you for stopping by. If you feel inclined, please give it a thumbs up. You can always subscribe if you like my content, or just leave a comment. I appreciate any and all. So thank you again. You can enjoy the video, and I'll see you later. Bye.